Well, hello there, welcome to the Obithorian Alliance. In today's video I'll be reviewing WandaVision on Disney Plus, and joining me today is Luke to talk about the show. And if you can, like and subscribe, and in this video, so we don't spoil anything, we'll be talking about the show in a non-spoil way, kind of giving a review of the show first and then the verdict, and then in the next part we'll be talking more freely for people that have seen it, so we can talk about it there more. So what's your thoughts about the show in a non-spoiler way first?
My initial thought, I would say it was better than I expected, and I quite enjoyed it. It was a show I put off for a while, and after watching it, I'm glad I watched it. But in the discussion, we'll talk a bit more about. There's a few things I liked, and a few things I really didn't like, but overall, pretty good.
Yeah, and the acting's pretty good. The cast has some recurring characters from previous properties and some new characters, but the special effects is quite amazing in this show. You could tell they spend a lot of time focusing on the shooting and how they shoot in, because it starts off in black and white. Basically the plot of the show is we're working out this mystery of, you know, what's happened to Wanda since Endgame, and then we're working out why has everything happened, because it's more of a mystery sort of show. What's quite different to what Marvel is. Usually Marvel is more comedy, or, you know, we get a villain that's trying to do something, but in this show it's more we're trying to work out the plot throughout the show, and it kind of gives a different sort of meaning, and it's quite different to what Marvel quite do, or I quite enjoy.
Yeah, when was it set in terms of the Marvel timeline?
I think 8 months or a couple of months from Endgame.
Yeah, because there's in a flashback they show kind of the day when characters woke up after there was the snap, and then obviously they undid what Thanos did, and then it showed from that point what had happened, and then it seemed like it was within the following months after that. What kind of sets up the show? So like what are we presented with in the first episode?
Well, we're presented with these credit scenes, what's styled to a old TV show, so it doesn't normally start like that.
Yeah, so it's black and white, and it's meant to be like a spin-off of the Dick Van Dyke Show, and then each episode kind of follows a unique theme. So maybe tell everyone about that.
Yeah, the unique theme is different sort of elements throughout the show that's quite different, and we get to find out why that is in the later part of the show, and the reason is quite tragic and quite different from what you kind of expect, but it keeps you intrigued at the start, and then you kind of want to know why it happens, and then it's up to the person if they think the payoff was worth it.
I really liked how each episode followed a very distinct style of filming, and it was a spin-off of a sitcom that already exists in our own world. So the first episode was like a Dick Van Dyke black and white style, where it's the husband and wife at home, and the husband goes to work and the wife does all the cooking and cleaning, and something happens, and then they've got to try and resolve it, and something funny always happens, and it's very take back to like the 50s, 60s show. And then what are some of the other themes, like the second episode?
The second episode is more this comedy act, and kind of seem.
Yeah, where they've got to do it's like their town's doing a talent show, and it's I think it's meant to be like a Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie kind of show. I think it's more Bewitched because there was even the credit. So that's one cool thing the show does. Did you notice how the opening start to each episode was similar to the show it was trying to mimic?
Yeah, it's a good montage and a good thing that it does to pay homage to what it's trying to respect to.
Yeah, I thought the actress that played Wanda, how each episode she perfectly portrayed a character that she was trying to copy from another show. So the first one she plays the 50s housewife, and the second one she's meant to be like the bewitched character, and then I think by the third episode it moves out of black and white and it moves into might be like an 80s sitcom or a 70s sitcom, and then we move into like an 80s 90s sitcom until eventually it gets to my favourite episode. It's a Halloween episode, and that's meant to be like Malcolm in the Middle, where they do it really perfectly, where the characters talk to the camera. Did you like that? How they did that?
Yeah, it's interesting to see how they do different comedies differently, and it gives it variety from different shows.
Yeah, and then eventually we get towards, I think the last episode or the second half of the 9th episode is kind of when it breaks away from the WandaVision, the TV, to then it kind of being in real time, and like they kind of move away from that. And I guess without giving too many spoilers, which we'll talk about in the discussion, it's really well explained well. Well, I thought it was.
Yeah, episode 8 is when we kind of get the reasons and explained why things have kind of happened and why comedy is such a big deal to Wanda, what's quite a sad thing.
Did you like how they managed to turn the show into a like an origin story for her character?
Yeah, got to learn a little bit more about her, and that's a good thing about the TV shows, that they can put in more development to characters that didn't get as much in the movies.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be an origin story. The show was not at all what I thought it was going to be. We had discussed prior to it coming out that we thought it was going to be about them being brainwashed and someone was putting these ideas in their head about them being in the show, but that is not the case at all. I think the explanation is actually much better. It does have its plot holes, but it's a much better idea than the one we thought it was going to be.
All shows do. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah. And what would you change about the show? We'll go more depth into discussion, but what is something some criticisms or positives you could give about the show in a non-spoiler way?
I guess positives is that it makes you think something at the start, and then in the end you kind of realise and you go, oh, I was surprised there. And I guess the negative would be is that unfortunately they do something that didn't really pay off, and it kind of seemed to be a waste of time. But sometimes you can't always get what you want, and I think expectations, that's kind of something that will either hinder your experience or kind of, you'll enjoy it a little bit more.
What would you say to someone out there that hasn't seen it yet and's hesitant?
I would say if you enjoy shows that kind of keep you on the edge of your seat and you want to know more, and you kind of, like to not know everything and want to keep on the mystery, and you like surprises, it's your sort of show. And if you like Marvel, it's a good start to the TV show journey in Phase 4.
Do you think it's a must-watch for anyone that's invested in the Marvel Universe?
I would say if you like WandaVision, I would highly recommend it. But I don't know. I can't force anyone to watch it, but I reckon it's worth giving a watch. I think the best thing about it is that it's different and it tries its best to tell the story that it tells.
I think it planted a few potential seeds for future movies and shows. I think there's a bit of a tie-in with Miss Marvel, or Captain Marvel, sorry.
Yeah.
So I think that without seeing it, there's probably going to be characters that you won't know who they are in future movies. So I guess it's Disney and Marvel's clever way of trying to get you to subscribe to their streaming service so that the movies continue to make sense to you. Okay, what would be your verdict on it before we get into a discussion?
I think the only hard thing with reviewing it is because it's the first TV show, you haven't got anything to compare it to, but you always got to give a verdict. I would say 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a good start to the TV shows, and the score might change depending on the other shows, but I definitely enjoy watching it, and yeah, I think it's a good show.
Yeah, nice.
So in this discussion, we'll be talking more about the show in length. So if you haven't seen the show, you can, I guess, still listen to our thoughts, but I would probably recommend that you watch the show first and then come back and watch the video when you have so.
Yeah, there'll definitely be a few spoiler warnings in this, so.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start off with the controversy with how the show was in black and white. A lot of people didn't really like that, and at the start, I know you thought it was a little bit strange, but what's your thoughts about it now?
I liked it. I think when I saw the trailer, I thought, what is this? This is so weird. But then after seeing an episode, I thought, it's pretty cool. Because I just the way they themed each episode, the fact it was black and white didn't bother me. The trailer made it seem like it was going to be something really weird, which it was something weird, but it was fun. I actually liked the homage to those older shows, especially the I Dream a Genie, Bewitched kind of thing, because I've seen a lot of those episodes. It's something that used to be on TV a lot during the day or late afternoon. When I was at my nana's house, it would be on. So it was kind of cool to see that. I liked it. What about yourself?
I enjoyed those episodes. I guess I found them funny, but because I didn't watch those comedies, I kind of didn't have that nostalgic feeling as much as you did or other people, but I didn't hate them. I just found them a little bit slow, but the show kind of got better and the comedies kind of got more interesting, but when you know why the reason is, it makes sense. And the show with its like it's shot and its mystery, you definitely see the comedy's aspect of it in a good way.
Yeah, I was really impressed just mainly the way they filmed it. They lowered the frame rate so the characters kind of looked like they were moving a bit robotically. They obviously filmed it in like a 1:1 aspect ratio instead of widescreen. They just nailed it. I thought the costumes were perfect and the way the characters acted were exactly how they would have in those shows. So I imagine they would have had to get those characters to do a lot of studying. They would have watched a lot of episodes of those shows to try and pick up the mannerisms and the way those characters were. And I guess it just goes to show how good of an actress, especially Wanda's character was. I really liked, especially when they got to the episode where they were, it was meant to be like Modern Family. I thought she really nailed the main mother character in Modern Family, and then the same with the Malcolm in the Middle episode. I thought like that really blew me away how good her acting was.
Yeah, in a different role, kind of paying homage to different comedies.
Do you think that people that criticised those 2 episodes would have changed their opinion once they had seen future episodes and it made sense?
I don't know. I guess it's if they gave it the chance, you'd like to think so, but everyone has their own opinion to come to their own conclusion.
I think the moment in the first episode when they host a dinner party and Vision's boss comes over for dinner and you see him like choking, and then the character kind of looked like his wife looked like she was glitching, like she was laughing and didn't know what to say, and it wasn't until later when we watched someone else's review on it that they explained that Wanda was kind of daydreaming.
Yeah.
And then while she was daydreaming or not concentrating, the characters were kind of on loop and didn't know what to do, which then clicked that was the first indication that she was controlling these characters.
Yeah.
Which didn't come obvious to me at the time. Did you pick that up straight away?
Oh, I guess it kind of didn't make sense, but you kind of don't want to jump to conclusion without having any evidence, but it is a good link when you watch it again. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense because you go, oh, she wasn't daydreaming, they were on loop, he was choking, then suddenly she snaps at him, she's like, oh, Vision, save him. And you go, okay, she's got something to do with this, she's in some way controlling them. And then we see that the helicopter or plane
was in colour.
Yeah, it was in colour, and then it came into the
world.
Yeah, but then we're also hit with another part where a character cuts their hand and their blood is in colour. And I don't know what the link is with that, why, unless maybe because she didn't have control over that happening, so it then reflected the real world. I don't know what the story was, why her blood was in colour. What are some other points that you what's something you disliked about the show?
Guess I have 3 things that I didn't like about the show. I guess the first one is, and I don't know, it just feels like with Marvel, when females get their powers, it doesn't feel as earned as when Iron Man went through his journey, when Thor went through his journey. Like in Captain Marvel, she basically shot at her powers and then it went through her. And then Monica, she went through the thing and then she just got her powers. So to me, it didn't feel as earned, and it kind of feels like we're giving this character powers so she can help and be strong instead of actually earning it.
Yeah, I wonder if there's more to that, whether she already had the powers. I don't know, maybe there could be more. Because you remember there's the sequence where she was talking to the scientist from Thor, and she was saying, oh, we've looked at your blood work and your cell structures are abnormal and they're changing. I don't think you can go through that again without dying. Maybe she had already had powers, and that when they checked her blood, that was showing that she was a superhero or had some kind of powers. I'm not sure, but maybe that could be it.
Don't know. Her mother didn't have powers in Captain Marvel 1.
Well, I just wondered because they said that she'd been on missions and gone to space, like whether she came in contact with something that gave her powers. I'm sure we'll find out later because there's that end credit scene, which implies that she's going to be in future
properties.
Yeah, so I'm sure it might be explained a bit better then.
It was cool how she was introduced because it actually shows you in episode 4 how she with the blip, how she came back and her mother passed away, but she didn't lose any time because with 5 years, you basically come back and you stay the same.
Yeah, so she was one of the characters that from the blip had vanished. So then by the time they went and did their thing and undid Thanos' work, she came back.
Hulk did that.
Yeah, and her mother had died in that time frame and she didn't realise that time had passed.
Yeah, it was like the coolest thing about her character that basically showed us that scene with the blip.
It's a really cool link, like that the show, it links in that happened in the Avengers movies it links in a character who was in Captain Marvel as a little girl who's now grown up.
Yeah.
And then it then links what's happening in the future. I think in terms of a show, it has a lot more to it than what you would have expected. I think as a movie, I would have been impressed, ignoring the fact it wouldn't have worked because each episode was themed, and as a movie that would have been a strange thing to do, but it worked perfectly as a show. And yeah, what other criticisms you got? I've got a few in mind.
My other criticism is how they, because the thing with Wanda is that she unknowingly, basically when she goes to the house in episode 8, she sees what her life could have been if it wasn't for the tragedy in Infinity Wars with Vision, but she sees that Vision bought a house where they could have lived together, and then unknowingly with her power took control of the town, and then basically took them as slaves. And you can defend against her, and you can defend for her that, you know, she was unknowing about her powers, she didn't know what she was doing. But I kind of go, well, she still deserves a consequence. But the show kind of goes, you know, with Monica, oh, I understand what happened there. I would have done the same thing for, you know, to see my mother. And then she, to me, if it was me, I would have apologized to one of the, one of the characters that she did it to. Would have been a more touching moment. You remember the scene when one of the cast members said, oh, can you take away my child, put me in a different role? If she actually apologized to that child, that scene would have meant more. Yeah.
I wonder if... So we were talking about whether after she'd solved that, like the season finished, does that mean is there some kind of consequence? Will they lock her up? Is she going to be considered a war criminal because of what she did?
There's no consequence because Monica basically just lets her go, but I understand why she did what she did, but I feel like there should be at least something that she deserves something, because she did do the wrong thing. Like, she is still the villain with the show.
Well, given that in Civil War, there's consequences for what the superheroes have done, and some people say we don't need them anymore, and then there's some of them become prisoners for going against their orders. You would think she should face some kind of consequence for that.
Yeah, and nothing happens.
Yeah, interesting. I say criticisms. I like the show. I guess they're more talking points of things I want to understand or don't understand why they were there. And one for me was how she was able to bring Vision, a version of Vision back, but he still had powers, which I don't understand that. I don't understand how they had powers. I can see why she could have made a holograph version of him that felt real to her, but the fact he had a conscience, made decisions, disagreed with her, went to try and find answers, and then also had the ability to fight against her and then fight against the other version of Vision.
White Vision, yeah.
Yeah, I go, well, how did she create a character that had his powers? Because in that case, she's too powerful. She could create an army of Visions and fight anyone, or create an army of Visions and be bad. I think that's super unrealistic.
I guess love was her main thing, that she didn't want to take away his emotions, so she kind of wanted him be the only one that had control.
And yeah, just the fact that she was able to somehow create this force field that overtook a town, and she being able to control everyone, I just think that's a bit powerful. I understand she's powerful, but that was too powerful in my opinion. I don't know if they'll ever explain that. It's just one of those things you go,
That's how the show happened.
But I guess they do that a lot in the Marvel movies. Like you go, I could never understand how Thanos was powerful enough to fight the Avengers at times. I go, well, he's just one dude. Like that, there's no way he's that powerful, but somehow they make it continue to happen. And the fact that Thanos was supposedly from a planet of other Thanoses and they had been killed due to overpopulation, you go, well, if there's a whole planet of other Thanoses out there, geez, like if there was, how powerful are these characters? Like it's just one of those things that you just have to accept. Like there's no answer to it. What other talking points do you have about the show?
Well, I guess it's with the character that I kind of talked about in the review part, with how they kind of brought in, but they kind of did kind of bad or kind of played for jokes, is Petro, her brother, was recast. They actually didn't bring back the actor from Ultron. They brought the actor from the Fox movies as Quicksilver. And then you think, what's going on here? But you actually find out the villain, her name starts with A. Agnes brings him in, but you think something's going to happen with that, but it just works out that he's just a lookalike, that his name is actually Bonan.
And you have a massive erection.
Really? Yes, I do. I'm
pretty sure the reason they did it is because they basically go, all the theory people and all the people that are trying to guess this is basically a joke and kind of a, so to me it's kind of like, well, it was funny, but it's kind of like he was a really cool character, so I don't know.
It wasn't until I discussed with you and another friend that kind of came clear to me. I didn't realise he was... So her brother, Pedro, he's known as Quicksilver.
Yeah.
But then also, Quicksilver is also a character in the X-Men, which is Marvel, but owned by Fox, and some crossovers, some don't. And I was like, well, I just thought it was the same actor. And he's like, no, it's the one from the X-Men. And I was like, okay. And I was thinking, are they planning to bring him into it? But then later, now I think it was just them being clever. Because they kept referring to him, they go, she's recasted her brother.
Yeah.
So I think the funny thing is you recast him with a character that he'd been recasted with in another movie. I think it's like a clever play on words. It's kind of like... It'd be like, imagine a Batman movie and Batman's walking down the street and there's someone dressed as Batman and it happens to be an actor that's played Batman before as a joke. Like Robert Pattinson's walking down the street in the new Batman and it's like Halloween and there happens to be like, I don't know, like...
Michael Keaton?
Yeah, Michael Keaton dressed as Batman. He's like, oh, hey. And it'd be like, it's kind of that. It's just funny. Like, we get the joke, but it's not really part of the show. Like, I don't think anything's going to eventuate from it. I think it was just a funny Easter egg, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense, but I don't know, it's kind of, they could have done something more cooler, but yeah, it's not as disappointing as it's just something that's...
I didn't understand how he had his powers still. So this Agnes character created him to throw a spanner in the works for Wanda, but she was able to give him powers?
Yeah.
Like he was still able to be Quicksilver, and I just think that's, to me, so strange that these witches are powerful enough to give people powers. In that way, witches are too strong. In the Marvel universe, witches must be the most powerful characters you can be. Like if they can create characters, bring people back from the dead, give people powers, to me, I think that's not fair. What do you think about the whole them having kids and like they kiss, and then suddenly she's pregnant, and within 2 days she's given birth, and it's twins.
I thought it was a little bit strange. Like, I thought it was cool that they were having kids because it was showing, this is what life she wanted. But I thought it was strange how in the later episodes, they seem to have different powers, but it's not like one of them had the dad's powers and one of them had Wanda powers. It's like one of them had
Her brother's powers.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I guess you can say, because that sometimes you get your uncle's genes and sometimes you get different genes.
Would it be fair to assume that we'd imagine that Vision couldn't have kids? He's a robot.
Yeah.
Like, we'd have to assume there's no way he could get Wanda pregnant.
Mm.
So I guess that's why we assume that they wouldn't have they wouldn't have Vision's genes, because...
Yeah.
But then...
It's her world, though. She can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, it was fun, but to me, it was too unbelievable.
Mm.
But I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. What other surprise they chucked in there? There was the White Vision that came in.
Yeah.
So what was your understanding of the point of White Vision?
Basically the sword director that, because he's trying to create this weapon to go against the other Vision and against Wanda, and he's basically his creation, and then in episode 9 that happens really quickly, but in episode 8 we get to see that ending cutscene, and then it's actually pretty cool how they ended the fight, because personally I know some people said it was really bad how they ended the fight, but personally it's like, how else were they gonna not end that fight besides talking it out? Like, they have the same powers.
Yeah, of course. It was an interesting play that this Vision had been created. Because he's robotic, he's like, my mission is I must kill the Vision.
Mm.
And then Vision was clever enough to explain that I'm not the real Vision, I'm just the made-up version of Vision. So if you're really trying to get the Vision, you are the Vision.
Mm.
And then he managed to then give him Vision's memories. And what do you think is next with that? Do you think this White Vision is going to feature in future movies now?
I think it's so they can keep the actor that plays Vision in future stories if they want to use him, and to possibly be in Doctor Strange 2 maybe, or any different things.
Yeah, I guess having not read the comic books, I don't know whether White Vision is a character in the comic books. The fact that he was white makes me think there's something special about that he was all a solid colour. He wasn't just a mirror image of Vision. Why he had to be a unique colour makes you think there's something different, kind of like how there's Hulk and She-Hulk and Red Hulk, and there's all these like alternate colours of characters. But overall, again, I was very, very impressed with it. I'm glad I finally watched it after you told me to. I binge watched it. I think I watched 6 episodes in one night, and then I watched the next 3, 1 per night for 3 nights. But it was very enjoyable. Particularly, I enjoyed the homage to the previous shows.
Yeah.
What other little discussion points can you think of in there?
Did you like the characters kind of returning or coming back from other properties, like Wu from Ant-Man 2 and the scientist from the Thor movies?
Yeah, it was cool to have reoccurring characters. It's better than introducing new people just for the sake of it. Were they needed? Probably not, but it added the fact what it did add was you didn't have to try and understand a new character. You're like, oh, I know them. They've been in a movie before. And I guess, again, it shows this universe idea that characters cross over, which isn't... I can't think of any other franchise that's doing this or doing it well, where there's so many crossovers that a character can be the same character in a movie and in a show, and they can be in multiple shows and they can be in multiple movies, and it's cool. One criticism or thing I don't understand is if they were so worried about what Wanda was doing, why didn't any other Avenger come and step in? Why did no one else come? Like, they sent S.H.I.E.L.D. and Sword agents. Like, wouldn't you be calling up, like...
Doctor Strange?
Yeah, or Bruce Banner, or... I don't know, like, anyone to come sort it out? Like, why it was particularly... Yeah, I wonder if there'll be a crossover between WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but given that we know that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was meant to come out first, I think probably not.
Because Doctor Strange, the next time we'll be seeing Wanda's in Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts about how Agnes was behind it all? Did you see that cliffhanger? Like, were you surprised, or were you anything? I personally wasn't. Like, I didn't know who she was as a character, but she seemed too nice and had her own thoughts and had her own kind of like when Monica was in the bubble as well, kind of like her own personality, but it's kind of weird because wouldn't Wanda know that she kind of got into the system as well?
Yeah, I don't understand why Wanda wouldn't have known that she wasn't under her control, but I guess we assume that Wanda assumes that everyone's under her control and they're just doing what she wants. So I'm not sure about that. Agnes was a fine character until the point she revealed herself as a witch. I thought, I don't think it was needed, but it did give us the good flashback. Well, not flashbacks, I guess. When they went back through Wanda's memories and we got the origin story. So that was good and she was needed. Whether she was needed for the final fight or I guess she told Wanda that she is the Scarlet Witch. So again, I guess it gives her that name and explains it. So was needed, not the main part. I'm glad that they didn't focus too many episodes on that. That it was over pretty quickly with her. But again, it really surprised me how good the show was.
Yeah.
With ignoring the things you can pick and pull out and go, this could have been better, I wouldn't have been able to come up with a story that good. So it's easy to sit back and go, well, I would have did this differently. But we're not even at that same level of being able to write a show like that. So it's unfair to say that it could have been, this should have been done. It's much easier to say that looking back. Like, it's like watching a game of sport and going, oh, well, why did he pass it to that player? I would have passed it to him. Well, if you were in that moment, you wouldn't have noticed it. It's only when you watch it back and you see that. So can't be too critical on it in that sense. But I agree with your rating that you gave it. I'd probably give it the same, maybe even slightly higher. Do you think it's set... are you more or less excited about Falcon the Winter Soldier now?
I'm excited for it, but my expectations, I'm expecting it to be a good action show and kind of different from WandaVision. I'm not going to be disappointed from the first episode because I think that's kind of the main thing. Expectations, I think people kind of had too many, I guess, expectations, and with their theories they kind of got upset and disappointed. And I think, sometimes the writers and people kind of say, well, this is what the story is going to be, and then you get disappointed. When I think it's better just letting the writers take you on the journey and seeing where it takes you. Sometimes our stories are better, but did you like the conflict between Vision and Wanda in episode 5?
Yeah, I think it was cool to see that he couldn't remember why he was in this world. He couldn't understand why it'd go from black and white to colour, why the kids would be born and grow up within a matter of days, why it was interesting that he didn't understand it, which then set the platform of what was going on. And it was cool to see a bit more of Vision. I don't think in the movies we saw a lot of his personality, that, you know what, he's a robot, but he seems to have the ability to feel and understand things and have emotions. And the fact that he disagreed with Wanda. But I guess weirdly I didn't understand why in later episodes when he goes, not missing, but he's off doing his own thing, why she doesn't seem to be worried or know where he is. And you go, if she wants him to believe that this world is real, you'd think she'd be following him. She'd want to know where he is at all moments in case he does escape the bubble. But I guess she knew that he couldn't. Like, the force field seemed impenetrable for him.
Yeah, one of the children brings up that he's actually gone walkabout, and then Agnes, the scene when we don't know that who she is, we actually realise it's the opposite, that Agnes is playing tricks on Vision.
Yeah, to try and encourage him to leave the bubble and try and find out what's going on. I think it's very well written. There's good plot, nice twist in it, and I probably enjoyed it more than a few of the movies, I'd say.
Do you think the show would have been better if Agnes wasn't in the show? It feels like, because the other thing is that there's actually 3 villains in the show when you think about the director of Sword, because the other thing that the show does very clever is that it makes you feel sorry for Wanda, but it makes you kind of go, oh, I relate, or kind of feel sorry for her. But with Agnes and the Sword director, you go, oh, they're villains, they're bad people. Agnes, you kind of don't feel sorry for, because she basically took the powers off her mother and her own witch coven. But the Sword director, he's just trying to defend his planet and his country from threats because he went through the blip.
I think the show could work without Agnes, but you'd have to change a few things. So
yeah,
so maybe Vision would have to be the one to convince Wanda that what she's doing is wrong. She's taken these people prisoner, and that he isn't the real Vision, and even though she thinks it's a happy life, she's making other people miserable for her own gain, and that she needs to undo what she's done and say goodbye to him, and just accept the fact that it was his wishes to be destroyed so that he wouldn't be used as a weapon, and go from there.
But the fight scene in episode 9 would be completely different. We wouldn't get that cool fight scene between Vision and White Vision. Would be completely different, because who would Wanda be versing?
I guess no one. Maybe she was fighting White Vision at the same time as Vision was. Or maybe we just don't get introduced to White Vision.
Yeah. Shall we talk about the ending cutscenes?
Yeah.
So the first ending cutscene, Wu's kind of wrapping up with the FBI, and he also brought up, I know someone named Clint, and that's Hawkeye.
Yeah.
But in the ending cutscene, he's wrapping up stuff, and then we get this other person that's actually a scroll, and then she brings him in, and then goes, someone up there, and that's Nick Fury.
Yeah. So I'll be intrigued to see where that comes in, and I'm assuming it's in the next Captain Marvel movie.
It could be Captain Marvel 2, it could be Secret Invasion, what's a Disney Plus show as well.
Okay, maybe.
And then the next ending cutscene, we get this nice shot of the camera kind of zooming in the water, and then it kind of comes into Wanda coming into the house, and then we get Scarlet Witch going through the books, and then we hear these voices.
Okay.
So it could be her children, it could be anyone.
I actually didn't see that cutscene.
Oh, didn't you?
No, I saw the first one, and then because that was quite a fair way into the credits, and I didn't wait to see if there's another one.
There is?
Yeah, I might have to watch that.
So I guess because Wanda, the thing that's cool about her character is that she's very conflicted. Like, I feel like she has two personalities, and that's why that cutscene shows that she has Wanda, and that's why that cutscene shows is that she has her good personality and her other sort of personality that's not bad, but she's kind of evil, trying to do right by her, but still does the bad thing, and that's Scarlet Witch. And I think the Scarlet Witch personality is going to be in Doctor Strange 2 the dominant personality, and I would assume Doctor Strange 2 he's gonna have to try, because we got told that Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorceress Supreme.
Yeah.
But we obviously know that Doctor Strange is gonna defeat the villain.
I don't know. I wonder if she is meant to be if she is the Scarlet Witch that they talk about in this witch book, or whether she just assumes that title because she's like, oh well, if you think I am, then I will be. Like, I don't know if she's going to be an evil character or have a bad side. I think she's just going to accept that name because she's like, oh well, if that's what you say I am, that's who I am. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, and did you like what had happened with Agnes after getting defeated? Because Agnes in episode 8 got Wanda stuck with magic, and then she said, oh yeah, if you do this, if you get people stuck in magic, and then she remembered, and then she did the same thing to her in episode 9.
Yeah, I can't remember what the wording was with that, but something like
Horcrux?
Yeah, something like if only the witch that cast the spell can...
The spell wielder.
Yeah, can then cast their magic there, and somehow she creates this area where the Agnes character can't use her powers anymore, and that's how she defeats her, by using her own smarts against her, because Agnes kept saying like, oh, you've got powers, but you're just not smart, you don't know how to use them, let me have them, I'll show you how to use them.
But that was the first time Wanda used that spell.
Yeah.
So I guess thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe. Have a good rest of the day. Let the Force be with you. See you in the next video. And next week we'll be doing a Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode discussion. Look forward to seeing you there. Bye bye.
Alright.